Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to analyze the cell, the tile, and create a pattern from it. So I pull this over here. If you remember from the lectures, the cell is the smallest asymmetric motif that repeats, and oftentimes that creates a tile, either rotate or mirror it, and then that tile is repeated to create a pattern. So that's what we have here. So first thing we do is we take a look at our image, and if I zoom in by scrolling my middle mouse wheel, right, you can see that there is a pattern tile here or a pattern tile here. So oftentimes, depending on how you see the repeat, you can use one or the other. We're going to use this one in the top corner here as the tile, and that means that this would be the cell because this is the smallest repeatable piece. It's really is symmetrical, like I guess you could say that that would be a cell and then that would be a tile, and that tile gets repeated around there, and then that tile gets repeated, so you have nesting. But we're going to say that this is the cell. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line that represents the outline of that cell. So to do that, we're going to use the 2D tools in Revit under the Annotate tab. So if I come over here and left click on Annotate, you get Detail Line, which is what we're going to use. So this creates a detail line that's only visible in this particular view. So if I click on Detail Line, a contextual tab comes up that gives me an option to draw various types of elements. The element I want to draw is a start-end radius arc, right? So if I pick on start-end radius arc, it's going to ask me for a starting point, which you can see down here it's actually prompting me in the bottom left. So for the starting point, I'm going to pick the intersection of these two reference planes that I've provided you. And for the ending point, I'm going to pick the intersection of these two, and then it's going to allow me to move this guy in and out to create the arc. And we just want it to read 5 feet, so it's measuring 5 feet from the center of these 2 points. And when it says 5 feet right there, just left click. Now it wants to create another arc, and it's actually there, we just can't see it because it's kind of over the top of the image. And we're going to stop the arc command by going to the modify right there, and it's going to stop it. Now if I hover over it, you can see that it wants to pick that detail line. You can see up here when I pick it, it's showing a line style, and if I go to this pull down, I can change it from hidden, which is a dashed line, to a wide red line that I've given you. So I'm going to click on wide red, and now you can see it on top of there. Now we could mirror this, but I'm going to draw it again just to show you the process. So if I go to detail line, I can go to arc, and in the line style I can actually choose it before I draw. So if I go to wide red, it will now draw in the wide red, right? So 5. Alright, so that's our cell. Now I want to make what's called a group of this cell. So what I'm going to do is I am going to window around this. So if I drag from left to right, and I'm going to click on nothing first, so I'm just going to left click and drag a window around, it's going to select that those lines. Now my selection color is red, yours will be blue, so you'll be able to see it a little bit more clearly, but those are selected. And you can see over here it says lines wide red 2. And I'm going to come up here to my create, and I'm going to create a group. So if I left click on that, it's going to bring up a create detail group, and I'm going to call that cell 1 and click OK. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to copy that cell down to here. So there's a copy command. So if I click on copy while the cell is selected, so the cell needs to be selected. So if I left click off of it, you want to make sure that it's selected, and you want to go to copy. And the first thing it wants is it wants you to left click on a base point. So I'm going to left click on the center of that, and then I'm going to left click where I want to place it, and it's going to make a copy of that. Okay, so that's the cell. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the tile.